It's the Sod Pod, brought to you by Grassland Agro. The Sod Pod. Hello, and welcome to the Sod Pod. This is episode 21. Today we're delighted to be joined with Niall Laffan. Niall is going to talk a lot of topics from soil to grass seed to cover crops, sunflowers and even pumpkins. Niall, how are you keeping?
Not too bad now. Yourself, James?
I'm great. I'm just looking around here now. It's the first farm I've been on as we've took this sod pod on the road that I'm actually looking at pumpkins and two giant minions. How did you end up in this gig?
Well, I suppose we're here farming away, beef farm for the last while, but look, I suppose we just wanted to look at different things and diversify a small bit. We had a sunflower field there the last couple of years for charity. Right. So this is essentially a bit of a commercial venture on farm. So we just looking at different things and we enjoy growing stuff and whatnot. So that's how we ended up here essentially.
Yeah, and we're in a good location as well now. You're just outside Cashel in County Tipperary.
Yeah, I'm sure. I suppose if the minions are probably blocking the view somewhat, but you can see the rock here from here, and we're probably only around 2 odd kilometres from the town centre as well, so it all helps.
And you've 3 or 4 weekends done now, night, is it?
Today, yeah, yesterday was the fourth weekend now, so we have another weekend now coming into Halloween. So yeah, it is a hectic one. All right, now the last couple of busy weeks now, and as we saw, the spider above the field has gone a bit shook after the few weeks, but you look what can we do.
And you have a maze as well, night.
We do.
Say that again, Davey. A what?
A maze.
Or as the Americans say, corn maze. But yeah, we do essentially. Look, it's not overly elaborate now, but it's a corn maze all the same. But
touch and go. You were going to have to get a felon license for it there.
Yeah, so I rented a digger off a guy up the road, up near my Carkey there a few weeks ago. It was a 3-ton digger with a little flail on the front of it. So yeah, I made the pat with that. All right, so
and it's very cool now.
That's grand now. To be fair, the wind in the last couple of weeks is starting to blow it over. It's probably.
She's holding firm though. She's holding firm from a maize point of view. For a lad of my height, it's great. John might be able to peep out over the top. But.
What variety is it?
It's one of our own varieties in German actually. It's a variety called Cardiff, an open variety. But looked as later mature, and I set it probably, I think it was the middle of May. We set it late enough anyway. It even could have been later, at the end of May even. But just essentially to ensure we'd have it standing and whatnot there for the for the event, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a big thing, Niall. Obviously, a lot of people might know you from German, and that's probably where your passion for agronomy came from, and trying new things as well, and something that you work with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I suppose, look, I was an agronomist with Dairygold before I joined German, so look, I probably always had an interest in crops and whatnot, but look at a bit of background knowledge of growing stuff here that we never really, we used grassland here for a long time, so look, we're tricking around with a few different things, sunflowers and whatnot. So yeah, there's a bit of an interest there to doing all these.
Yeah,
bits.
And you mentioned the sunflowers. I suppose this was your second year, and you have the tally done there recently, and it's a phenomenal thing to do. And maybe you might give us some of the background on why you actually decided to put in that sunflower field and the charity it's working in aid of.
Yeah, so I suppose the first year, the main reason we done it was my own father had suffered with cancer for a small, but thankfully he was okay. It was grand now. He didn't have to undergo any major treatment or whatnot, so he's in good health since. Yeah. That was the main reason we done it. We just kind of remember we were here winter time. We said, look, we looked at the field outside beside the road, the whole lot, and we said, wouldn't it be a grand idea? The previous year, I remember I was looking it up online and whatnot, and there was actually a crowd in Wicklow. Colin Tyner and his family done it as well in Shillelagh. So is that how you pronounce it? Sorry, yeah.
A few more months from now that. But, you haven't travelled far by it.
But I remember it was good enough. I chatted to him at the time, and so he kind of just told us how he done it. So basically, we done something similar then the following year ourselves, and it was the National Orthopaedic Hospital Dublin and the Irish Cancer Society. We split it between those two charities, and it was around 37.8 that year, and then phenomenal. And then this year, then we just done in the field there where we have the father rape there now, but slightly smaller field, but for some reason there was actually a lot better crop in it. We set it slightly later and looked at probably better temperatures and a better summer as well at the same time.
The dry summer would have suited it probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they got going, but then in this year, then we done it for the Irish Cancer Society again, the local hospice, the South Tip Hospice, and then we gave a donation then to the Irish Red Cross Ukraine appeal out of that as well.
Course, yeah.
So it was just slightly ahead of last year. It was 38 6 in around that money, so it was good. It's good going. Yeah.
I think it's a big one. Like I'd say, everyone listening or everyone in the country nearly knows someone that's been touched by cancer. So it's a phenomenal thing to do, and fair play to you. I know that we were down here and seeing the sunflowers, and people got a great kick out of it as well. It's a great day out And the same with the pumpkins as well, isn't it?
Sure, 'tis of course, yeah. It's a real family thing. Like, I suppose I think it was just over 2 weeks we had the sunflowers open for this year, and God, it was real hot at the time. They actually probably didn't last as long maybe this year, maybe with the hot weather, just kind of dried up and they kind of desiccated a bit quicker. But sure, look, kids and stuff love it. Like, do you know what I mean? There's all people come and taking some.
You've attracted a few celebrities, of course, myself and John and James, but you've attracted a few more.
Could I get the Oxford Dictionary definition of celebrity, please? But we did. Sure, look, a lot of influencers or bloggers and stuff like that came. But sure, the power of social media is unreal. Like, you get somebody like that to come pay a visit.
It was a great cause. Soon.
Yeah. And where can people follow you on Insta? Probably is the best one.
Yeah, Insta and Facebook is just at Kingstown Farm and that, so we just have all the different bits and the zones and whatnot on that as well.
And then Niall, I suppose the farm is kind of in a square block pretty much, and you have your own house at the head of the road and all the family houses as well. But the first field, we have the maize. We have the pumpkins just behind it. So the pumpkins, how do you grow pumpkins if someone wants to maybe grow a few at home? Obviously you're going to be discouraging that now going forward, but maybe
as long as they're not too local. But no, essentially they're probably a lot harder to grow than the sunflowers. Sunflowers, Chris, just set them with a corn drill and spray them, kind of pre-em and close the gate. But pumpkins, a bit trickier. So we have I suppose a polytunnel below. We bought seeds in from a crowd in Germany and planted them all there in around May time, a couple of weeks. So you'd leave them basically inside in the greenhouse for the guts of a month. They'd all propagate and they're all like little plants essentially. So after that then we had the ground tilled up essentially, and
good seed bed, like fine tilled.
Yeah, we had a rape in the field last year, so it was easily tilled, and after that it wasn't coming out of grassland or anything like that. But it's easily tilled essentially. I think it was was it the first or second week of June? It was actually coming into a dry period, but we set him. I bought a machine there, a little kind of a transplanter. You see it inside, two little seats, and we have it on the back of the 240 there. And you have your plugs and your little plants, and you plop them in every kind of set diameter as the wheel goes around. But in terms of a fertility point of view, they're hungry crop. Like you can see they're big,
huge demand.
Yeah. So like that, I suppose we actually put out, I think it was 7 or 8 bags of 10-10-20 to the acre, even though I don't think they're supposed to get that much nitrogen, but to be quite honest, we'd fertiliser bought at the turn of the year and whatnot, and the way of stocks and this, that and the other, you all know it a bit more than I do, but that's what we had at the time, that's what we put out. So planted out the pumpkins then, and we actually, over the course of a couple of weeks, because like that we're all working full time, we'd be doing it in the evenings or on the weekends and whatnot. So planted them out, set them with a little transplanter machine. After that then it actually did get dry for a few weeks, so we had to keep them watered, but after that then they just tip on away.
Drove on themselves.
Drove on away.
And then probably weed control is the biggest challenge with pumpkins.
Well, that's it too. Yeah, in this country there's no sprays or whatnot, and look, we had intentions of going down with like an old Triple K grubber going down
between the rows, into row cultivation.
Yeah, but essentially we didn't get around to that too much, and we were down doing a bit manual with the hoe and whatnot. But we only had to do it for a few weeks. Once the canopy takes off, like it's a pure sea green after a while, like, and weeds aren't too much of an issue then after that.
Competition is the main thing, like any crop.
Yeah, like they'll sprawl or vine and sprawl everywhere then after that, so yeah.
And then when they get you have a pumpkin in the field there, but it's green looking, then you actually cut them off the vine then. Is that the way you went about it?
Yeah, so I suppose in the month of September, touching base with different people, see how they done it. A lot of them, depending like maturities and whatnot of the different varieties, a lot of them will come in earlier, but some of your greener ones, because you could have a couple of pumpkins per plant. I think they say a good average is 1.2 or 3, but it looked at always be a bit of spoilage. But yeah, we like that. In the month of September, having a couple of buddies went round, cut them off the vine, leave as much of a stalk as you could so the rot doesn't go back into, like, the leaves will start to rot. There's temperatures at night will get just when they start to change and they start to get a lot of mildew and stuff, and they say cut it before the rot feeds it back down into the pumpkin. So that's what we're at then, yeah.
You could get systemic disease back into or bacterial pressure and
absolutely.
I suppose then when you move across the yard then, and we go up into the sunflowers, they were easier to grow. Did tremendously for charity, but you've actually put in a crop of rape now. Yeah,
so essentially we done the same last year. Once the crop of sunflowers kind of wilted away themselves, we went in, we got a what would you say, a mulcher, kind of scrub mulcher. We didn't mulched up the sunflowers and basically returned the nutrients in the crop back into the soil. Thankfully this year actually there was no real there was such a canopy of sunflowers, there was no real weeds in it. Last year there probably was thistles and your grasses and stuff like that, but this year thankfully it wasn't too weedy, so we just mulched it up, disted it a couple of days later and put in a crop of Stego Forage rape. Then I think it was around the turn of September there.
Yeah, good looking crop at the moment.
Clean looking,
the last couple of weeks now it was coming up a bit slow, but the last couple of weeks I think I don't know if a lot of even cover crops that work there was very slow coming on. But
is that down to the variety or is that because it came out of sunflowers?
Which they were slow coming up?
No, the rape. I think it's gone very well. It's only in 6 weeks or that.
The planting day probably, surely.
Oh yeah, planting day. Look, hey, as you get later on this time of year, like
what do they say about forage crops? A week in?
Was it a day in July is worth a week in August and the whole month of September. So yeah, earlier the better. But last year fared out alright. Like with good soil temperatures there at the minute, even still like it's still warm enough.
And the plan with that then is the beef animals.
Yeah, so well we have cattle, but we'll probably get a few weanlings and keep them on it then over I'll probably measure the crop in a couple of weeks' time. After all this, the pumpkin patch and whatnot is over with. We'll kind of set the sights on that then again, so I'll have a better idea how many stock we could hold over the winter. We have a nice bit of silage there, so it's just a matter of bringing out the silage and stuff.
Yeah, and supplementing with that, so you need to provide 30% roughage or silage, is that the rule of thumb for those forage crops?
Yeah, max they're talking the diet 70% of the forage crop. Yeah,
and probably no harm on our own side of it is to supplement some minerals as well, because they have a lower mineral profile and you can have deficiencies of iodine and stuff like that on some of them forage crops.
Yeah, is there much going in now around the country?
This year, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this year has been a powerful year. I suppose tricky summer there. People are looking at a fodder deficit, so. Yeah, we had a powerful year on the likes of those fodder crops. In so much so we probably ended up near selling out in a lot of them, cover crops essentially. But a lot of it probably, I suppose, livestock guys checking stock of what they have, and then this new nitrates regulations from the cereal point of view. When people were, I know it chopped and changed a small bit while the whole thing was going on, but when people were going over the ground cultivating, a lot of them, they had a seed box and whatever, and they were putting out something as well. So. Yeah, all positive. Good year from that point of view.
Be even in beyond the rape and that there probably will be a bit more of a market for even beet and maize and stuff like that because of the way the climate is going on the east of the country and that going forward.
I'd say so. Yes, it seems to be getting drier spells in the east and whatnot. So traditional cereal areas of old have probably switched over to dairy a bit. So yeah, there probably will be I think forage going forward is going to be a big one. And to be able to secure homegrown forage on farm is going to be a massive challenge and requirement for people. Yeah,
probably two examples of this on this farm. The maize obviously out the front, which is an uncovered variety and did very well, I would say, even for a late sowing day. I
suppose even this year and last year had been powerful years for maize crops in general anyway, the way the summers have gone. So yeah, it's a serious crop out there now, but it's interesting to see what way it harvests now. By right we should be harvesting it one of these days now, but just for the nature of the event we wanted until the 31st, so it'll be interesting to see what way it works out.
And then the other one, so that would be your energy in a forage situation, your I suppose farm gate self-sufficiency in relation to feed, but also you have a protein crop in red clover up the top of the farm. That's going very well. Looks really green there now. It looks like someone snuck out with a little bag of urea just on the night of the deadline, but it does look very good.
Yeah, no, we said it late enough, I'd say. Well, should I say late in the year, but it was probably the end of July. And to be quite honest, it was very dry at the time, so it probably did suffer a small bit from the drought in the first few weeks of establishment. But no, it's rocking on there well. To be quite honest, we probably should have got an opportunity to cut it in the last week or 10 days, likely last Monday, Tuesday we should have, but we're kind of just under a bit of pressure with all the other things going on. So ideally we will try and cut it this back end. I know the dry matter's below, but just to clean it up and not have it over winter there.
Yeah,
zero grazing is probably a better option with that, is it?
Probably
really try bale it.
Try bale it. We're probably not with nobody around. We're not too set up for zero grazing ourselves here, but we'll try and bale it essentially if we can. Well, we will try and bale it. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, if you can get a break in the weather at all.
Yeah.
And Camille and I sometimes I recommend to leave it to flower for the first year, but that's kind of a message that was put out there maybe, and some people are getting on fine without leaving it flower.
Yeah, I suppose, look, there's probably a lot of mixed messages down. About red clover, I suppose something we're all probably learning a bit more about as time goes on, and use is after increasing massively this year on account of those schemes. And look, it was coming in the farm to fork strategy anyway, but it's really ramped up a gear with the fodder, the red clover. The red clover, I suppose, scheme that the lads had the government had this year. But look, they say it's good practice to leave it flower every year or so. A lot of fellas would leave it flower in the height of the summer. Look, it will naturally flower in around July anyway. Yeah. They say it aids with persistency, but look, I think a lot of it is soil fertility and maybe grazing management and cutting management as well, you know.
Absolutely, like that's going to be critically important in the soils. Is probably like, you know, you have a huge amount going on aside from, you know, the pumpkins and the sunflowers. It's great to see the forage crops and the red clover, but like an awful lot of your job, I suppose, in your 9 to 5 is and a lot of the challenges you come up against now is probably down to soils, and something that we often talk about is the link between the soil and the crop above it needs to get probably more pronounced and more focused going forward.
Well, I suppose, look, in the past few years, I suppose we all know grass is a bit more forgiving with soil, I suppose, soil fertility and whatnot, but as we all know, the focus is coming on clover massively, and there is a better requirement for pH, number one, and then you do need your P's and K's spot on. So yeah, I think there's more of a focus coming on soil fertility big time, because look, people need to, like, clover's probably, you know, not without its challenges, but look, clover's going to be there going forward. It's probably what we have to use.
How's the availability looking there on the clover for next year? Like, is it fairly alright? Because I know there's a lot of demand.
Ask me an easy one, Dave. No, I'm only joking. What you call it? No, thankfully, as we stand now, it seems to be fairly positive. Like, I suppose the big thing is, like, Germinal and other seed companies at the end of, let's say this year, for example, would sit down and forecast what needs to go into the ground for 2 or 3 years' time sales wise. So like last year, even just talk about the government schemes there, red clover, and there was a lot of clover. There's 1.5 kilos of both white and red in your multi-species I suppose mix, requirement there also. But like, you know, it's not like it takes a couple of years to ramp up production of clover, essentially. Like, it can't just happen overnight. So look, I suppose thankfully we're in a fairly strong position going forward. We'll secure supplies, and then every year after that we will have a good supply of our own clovers growing as well. So it's very positive. Look, it's great for us as a seed company. It's all positive for us as well.
And that's the other thing now, you have multi-species as well, which is gaining a lot more traction, and I suppose one of the components of a multi-species that seems very promising is actually plantain, and maybe seeing, you know, probably less herbs going forward, but a white perennial ryegrass and plantain, like, it seems to go well over the springtime and the winter, and quite more persistent maybe than some of the herbs. Is that a fair comment, or is that? That's
fair. Probably out of plantain and chicory, plantain would be slightly more persistent. Like, if you're talking, I have a field of multi-species above is only set this spring through the through the
scheme, right? Yeah.
Through the multi-species scheme.
There's a line in on the seed as well.
Through the multi-species scheme, but essentially, like, look, number one, your clovers are your engine behind it. Let's be honest about it. They're doing a lot. They're doing a lot of heavy lifting. But like, even any of our own research over in Germinal Horizon, the site in Wiltshire, like, essentially, like, at that kind of composition with 5 or 6 species, you're probably there with, you know, what your max going to get out of it. But if you add more after that and go with a kitchen sink job, I don't think it delivers any more in terms of production or performance. But yeah, essentially, look, plantain is probably going to be there for 3-4 years. Your chicory is probably going to be a bit more short-lived, 2 or 3 years, and then after that, essentially, you will be left with a fairly prominent, you know, perennial ryegrass, white clover sward. Your red clovers, you know, going to fade out there as well after time.
One of the big things for me, Niall, is that, like, fair enough, we can argue the toss over the persistency of the herbs, but ultimately, if you're left with a very good grass and white clover sward, you're winning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, but it probably highlights the importance of putting in a real good grass variety, because that's going to be, you know, year 9, 10, 11, 12, that's going to still be there if you're managing it right. Like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, a lot of it, like we said earlier on, soil fertility is a lot of it got to do with persistency as well, of perennial ryegrass especially. But yeah, like, definitely the grass component can't be compromised in those mixtures. It has to be a good performing perennial ryegrass, essentially, along with your clovers and your other elements in the mixture.
And with
the
multi-species there as well, Niall, like down at the Swards for the Future conference in Moore Park, I know you were at it yourself. Trevor Gilligan.
He was at it in the evening anyway. He was in Reardon.
You were missed it the second day.
I was otherwise engaged the second day.
You were stuck to the level.
Busy day.
But Trevor Gilligan gave a great presentation there, and he was kind of making the point that farmers should be choosing the mix based on what they wanted to do for them. Like, you know, if it's going to be for the anthelmintics or for the, you know, for the production, yeah, or you know, for the diuretic, and you know, picking your seed mix around that. That's more of a statement now, but I don't know what your own view is on it.
Question on the end of that day.
What's your point?
Well, no, I'd agree with you. Like, look, Plantain, obviously, we all know that, and like Moore Park have trials ongoing there the whole time as well, just to prove that in an Irish scenario. But yeah, look, Plantain does have diuretic properties, and Tommy Boland above in UCD and Lions are doing a lot of work, you know, around the anti-helminthic side of it as well with chicory. So look, there's a lot of positives there, to be fair, you know.
And you were over in your own centre there lately, there 2 or 3 weeks ago. Is there much going on there or anything new?
Well, look, a lot of it is the last few years they would have done a lot of work on multi-species in the Horizon site in Wiltshire. So, you know, testing out different mixtures. Like, I suppose, while a lot of the grasses and whatnot are bred above an Aberystwyth, they don't really get to trial them in a, you know, as I suppose they're trying on varieties there, and they're seeing how they'd perform on a commercial basis there. But a lot of it more so down to components. There is some early element of plantain and selection and stuff like that going forward, but that'll be a while away. But like, it's all positive, but more so, yeah.
The big thing is it's all changing, which is very exciting for us. Like, coming, you know, early stages in our careers in the industry, like everything is changing at a fairly quick pace. And like, one thing I want to that we skipped over between Everton is that you have some livestock on the farm as well that you're after bringing on as part of the star attractions, as part of the pumpkin patch. Do you want to give us an overview of them?
Yeah, so we have a few lovely alpacas on site there as well, as they're only over our shoulders there inside
very
the shed
placid
at the minute. Yeah, look, they're a lovely animal, lovely temperament, so look, they're well suited. Kids and adults go mad from alike now, so it is big attraction at the minute.
Big on Instagram anyways.
Steal the show, alright. Yeah, no harm, but they're lovely animal, alright.
Yeah, and I suppose like this is you know, the amount of work and the layout is definitely a team effort here, like over the whole year to get all this done.
Oh, absolutely. I might be the one talking on podcasts and talking on radio and local radio and pictures
Helps
there.
the limelight.
Well, I don't know about that, but
paid sponsorship.
I push forward for that, but no, to be fair, look, it's a family effort. Sure, without my parents here, it is basically my parents and myself and my brother as well is floating around as well. So yeah, massive family effort.
And you're with a Clare woman as well.
I am.
Had to be involved.
Somebody goodness about it.
There,
I had to go far to find one.
She straightened them out, like. That's where all this industry is coming from.
Yeah, putting manners on me now, but yeah, no, with a Clare woman right up around your side, Dave. Yeah.
So yeah, up the banner.
The banner, yeah. But no, I think that's a tremendous overview. Like, there's a lot going on. We'll probably catch up with you again at some stage, you know, when we get into the thick of reseeding or something like that. Probably a bit about it.
Yeah, speaking of team effort, John, I suppose, look, it is a massive team effort. Joe, myself, my parents included, and like that, my brother and his girlfriend and my own girlfriend, but I suppose family, friends and neighbours as well, like your own colleague Simon Laney, a good friend of mine. He gave a good hand over the weekend too, directing a few cars. I won't say it's his calling in life now, but he was handy to have there for the few hours anyway. So no, it is a big team effort now, no doubt about it. Oh, the hedges are looking mint, yeah, absolutely mint in advance of the occasion as well. So 100%.
Season, but
Niall, if you were to look with the crystal ball into the future, you look at the research in your own seed company and the likes. What sort of things could you predict for the future when we're looking at these sort of seed compounds?
Well, look, we all know clover is going to play a big part, and I suppose variety, like we'd have a big clover breeding setup over in Aberystwyth, but a lot of the work is coming on, I suppose, red clover essentially, which we do see is probably going to be massive going forward. Look, it's probably from dairy systems it suits with that high quality silage, but like, I suppose, look, it's a few years out at this point, but our own team are working on, I suppose, more persistent clovers that will withstand cutting over time. And like, there's some of those there on the market as well, Aberclart and Aberchianti, who can last 5 years under a cutting regime. So it is all fairly positive. But
I have a technical question now, and I haven't ran this one past you in advance. But just the partitioning or the sharing of the fixed nitrogen by red clover versus white clover, like in my experience, and I could be wrong, white clover seems to share that with the companion grass or whatever, probably a little bit more freely than red clover, where it seems to kind of dominate the actual usage of the nitrogen that's been fixed. Is there a case to make to include a good bit of white clover in those red clover swards that lads are putting in order to facilitate that and maybe keep the persistency there, or will they perform, I suppose, in intensive silage setup? Well,
look, I suppose a lot of the mixtures we would have produced this year, like your red clover silage mixtures, they would have had 4 kilos of red clover, and the rest there would have been an element of white clover in there as well. Essentially, we would be going off a lot of the work James Humphreys and his team are doing over in Solid.
Yes,
Look, to be fair, they've been pioneering a lot of the work the last number of years on red clover, and they have a lot of red clover swards that would be for grazing and silage on farm with the last few years. But yeah, look, there is I suppose a theory and a practice there that if you put in a bit of white clover, and the white clover being a large leaf white clover, which
that's a good point. That's a different crop now to what we're in the grazing sward like.
Yeah, essentially, I suppose 99 or 90% of the grazing mixtures we do would have a medium leaf clover in it, which we preferred for cattle grazing. Your smaller leaf would probably be more preferred.
Sheep, is it?
Sheep, essentially, and it is more persistent, grows lower to the ground, and more persistent type of clover. But yeah, your large leaf probably, I suppose, probably not used much in recent times. Maybe in James's time there back in the 80s, but yeah, more so for silage regimes. But yeah, look, they're kind of coming back, and that's the idea that your large leaf white clover will be there for the few years after your red clover kind of dissipates out of the sward then. So be able to carry, like, look, it's not financially viable to be reseeding a field of red clover after 3 or 4 years, nor can you do it with disease pressure and nematodes in the soil as well. So you have to give it that break. So if you put
last question on the red clover, right, is the soil structure thing heightened on red clover? Because I see some fields there and where maybe there's been a tanker travel, there doesn't seem to be much of it left, like. Or is that a fair comment, I suppose? Well,
yeah, you do see red clover fields, and even when I was going above and Grange today early on in the summer,
with Nicky,
yeah, on the right, like, you do see the headlands for some reason. Must maybe something got to do with compaction. Like the headland as you went in the gate on the right, there was a mighty crop of red clover everywhere else, but the headland, maybe there was issues there with compaction with machines going over the years and stuff like that. So,
and it's a bit strange though when you think about it, because it has a tap root, like.
Absolutely, yeah. It does, like, from red clover itself, it does a lot to the soil, brings a lot to the party in terms of a taproot, yeah, but it's unusual, yeah. I don't know the answer to the question, but I think there must be something there. Right?
It's something that we'll have to look at going forward, but I suppose the key message there is just to keep an eye on looking after the ground and not cause too much compaction of events, not be spreading in chancy conditions. And I suppose the big thing then is maybe that last grazing that you're going to do is to keep an eye on that so you don't cause any challenges with it.
Absolutely, and just any look, that last grazing, usually this time of year people would, like, it's recommended in the first year of a red clover crop to give it a light grazing in the back end of the year, but like that as well, don't go in chancy conditions, but don't graze it too tight either at the same time.
Yeah,
but important to get it cleaned off too, Niall. Just like for farmers listening, like, that have red clover swards, it's not great to leave that over the winter period either.
No, essentially not. Look, you don't want on any field really, a major cover of grass going in over the winter. You could leave yourself exposed. Like, the grass will melt away with disease and stuff like that.
It probably ties into the white as well, because a lot of lads are going to be thinking about closing or have to think about closing because of all the rain we got. I was chatting to John Brennan there during the week, and we have to make a call on whether we're going to graze a newly established white clover. But like, that's something that we have to bear in mind for autumn rotation, not carrying over too heavy a cover on the grass white clover swards. Can you explain maybe, Niall, why that's the case?
Well, essentially, I suppose a lot of it is down to leaving light down in over the winter too. Look, I suppose they say your paddocks, which are a lot of clover content, graze them last, but obviously it's going to become a point when people have a lot of clover and a lot of paddocks. So essentially, I suppose it's better probably to pay a bit more focus to your newly established swards, give them that care and attention maybe in the back end of the year, and obviously don't graze them with their poach, but let light be able to get in over the winter while they are in that year of establishment. There's a lot of it too,
Yeah, because I was at the Grass 150 group there last week, and like, it was a big thing. Like, they're all kind of pushing the boundaries. Maybe have been on the clover journey for a while, and it's a headache for them that you have to. They're all fairly heavily stocked dairy farms, so they have to have a decent opening cover. That's fundamental to the grass-based system or the grass white clover-based system that we're trying to advocate going forward.
And it is going to cause a change in management, because they are the paddocks you're going to want to graze later, because they are going to be the little ones in the springtime, would have little cover and they're very open, and it is difficult to get around it, but I suppose it's just trying to be strategic. Yeah.
And I suppose you need to think about the tools at your disposal. Like, even if the wane and heifers are on an out farm, if they're coming back, maybe split them up into smaller batches, get them out. Like, you have to be probably a little bit more dynamic. And I suppose grass white clover takes a little bit more thinking about. Like, it's not just as straightforward as.
No, absolutely. Look, there is a lot.
Is that your helicopter coming there now?
It's collecting us here to take us for dinner. Courtesy of Grassland Agro.
Pumpkins are going well, right?
The mother hovers.
But no, you're right. Look, there's a lot of management issues. Like, it's not as we've all operated as the simple ryegrass system for a long time, and we'll all put our hands up to heaven to say it was too easy, spread manure and this, and do you know what I mean? Like,
Can't keep doing the same thing, don't I?
No, sure we can't. Like, not at all. But like, that's it. There is a mindset change to be there. Even a lot of it comes from weed control in fields. Like, we're all used to seeing a beautiful ryegrass field with no weeds. Like, we'll have to probably get used to the odd dock while with the options we have with us at the minute.
And farmers are worried about being able to grow fields of clover, like, but like, you're here growing sunflowers and pumpkins and red clover and multi-species and rape, and you know.
Well, I suppose.
But this is some of the best land in the country as well. Like, to be fair.
Yeah, well,
there's wet spots too.
The gap there where the cars were coming in at the weekend.
The two Clare lads pour mountain again.
Well, you're moving up then in Simon, aren't you?
God almighty. But no, look, I'd say a lot of it is like farmers never really had to focus on the past. Farmers are well capable of absolutely doing it, you know. So no, I'd say it won't take too much to get lads focused in on it now. It's just a matter of.
I think you're right. Things are changing. We see it ourselves. Like we have the Clover Boost product and range of products, you know, of different swards, you know, different requirements, and you have to cut your cloth to measure.
Niall Laffan, agronomist, seed expert and diverse farmer. It was great having you on, Niall. We really appreciate you giving us the time. Just looking back here, like, pumpkins, a real micro business within the farm. 2 years of sunflowers as well for charities, and a really good cause, and €40,000 both years collected there across numerous charities. So really well done to you and all the family, and we're delighted to have been here with you today. Another great example of community spirit. And of course, farming will always be part of the community, and that's the message in Grassland Agro we love to deliver. Diversification is a great place on the farm. Mind yourself out there. Farm smart, farm safe. Hey, thanks for listening to the Sod Pod. We hope you enjoyed it. To find out more, head over to www.grasslandagro.ie or check out our social channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube. That's all for this episode. See you next time.